This morning at approximately 9:55, officers responded to a domestic disturbance at a home along Shady Valley Drive. A 20-year-old male got into an argument with a family member over his drug usage, and that family member called 911 to express some concerns. Officers then found the same male a short distance away from the house where they originally spoke with him at. After a brief conversation, they determined no criminal offense had occurred and had offered to take him back home. Before they could let him into the patrol car, they wanted to frisk him to make sure that he did not have any weapons. As they went to pat the male down, he took off running. The man was not under arrest at that time and had not committed a criminal offense, and so officers did not pursue him. The same officers returned back to the family member to speak with them and to let them know that they had found the male. While they were there, a call came in over the radio at a nearby address. The homeowner called 911 to report that a man holding a gun had approached him and requested money, but then quickly left the scene. Based on the description the homeowner gave, officers quickly recognized this was the same 20-year-old male that they had encountered earlier. They began searching the area for the male. While officers were out searching, the family member reported that he had returned home and was attempting to take a pickup truck in the driveway. Officers went back to the family member's home, which is located along Shady Drive. And as they were pulling in, the male then started to back out of the driveway. The responding officers reported seeing a firearm. They quickly called out a description of the pickup truck. Other officers located the pickup truck and initiated a vehicle pursuit. Based on our investigation, which includes an initial review of body-worn camera footage and dash cam footage, we believe the suspect fired a shot through his window shield at one of our officers who were posted up ahead of the vehicle pursuit. The officer was not injured. Moments later, the male crashed into another vehicle that was traveling along Shady Valley Drive. The driver of that vehicle that the suspect hit did not suffer any life-threatening injuries. After the crash, the man got out of the pickup truck and then fled on foot. Officers followed him and quickly located him in a driveway at a home in the 3700 block of Shady Valley Drive. There's a carport in this driveway along with the pickup truck that was parked. Two officers approached the carport and saw him. During the encounter, they both fired their service weapons multiple times. After the shots were fired, the suspect showed his hands, and the officers approached and placed him into handcuffs. That is when they saw that the male had suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Officers did render aid until paramedics arrived. The man was transported to a nearby hospital where he currently is being treated. We are told he is currently stable and is likely to survive. Officers did recover a weapon at the scene near the carport. Although we believe he fired a shot during the vehicle pursuit, it remains unclear whether he fired any additional rounds near the carport. That part is going to be part of the ongoing investigation. During the follow-up investigation, the man's family indicated he fired rounds inside of their home just right before the pursuit began. We will release the male's name once he is released from the hospital and booked into the Arlington City Jail. He will be charged with 1 count of aggravated assault on a public servant, 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 2 counts of aggravated assault, family violence, and 1 count of evading. There are now 2 investigations taking place, which is routine anytime any officer fires their service weapon. The first is a criminal investigation led by our homicide team, which will look into the incident as a whole. The second is an administrative investigation led by our Internal Affairs Unit, which will look at whether department policies were followed. The officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave, which again is standard anytime an officer fires their service weapon. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Lieutenant, did either of the officers who fired their service weapon say why, provide any justification?
So that is what the internal affairs investigation is for. Those officers will give statements to internal affairs, and then we'll be able to provide an update to the investigation probably sometime next week.
What do we know about these officers? How long have they been with the department?
I can get you that information. Both have been with the department for a fairly long time.
Forgive me if I missed this. So the officers who fired their weapons, were they aware at the time they fired their weapons that the suspect had allegedly shot through his vehicle windshield, or was that figured out after the fact?
They were aware. So I know it's a lot going on with this. So basically, when the male suspect returned back home and the family member called, concerned that he was getting in a pickup truck and attempting to leave, the responding officers who originally got on scene saw that he had a firearm, okay? He then leaves, they back away, and then he then leaves and a pursuit begins, a vehicle pursuit. As the suspect is coming down the road, he fires a round through his window shield at one of our officers who is posted up at the end of the street. That officer then informs everyone over the radio that shots have been fired. As soon as the shot is fired, a short time later, the suspect is involved in a vehicle crash. His car is disabled. That person that he hit with the vehicle, they suffered non-life-threatening injuries and they're okay. The suspect then fled on foot, and the two responding officers then located him in the, I don't want to say backyard, but it's a driveway with a carport. And he was still armed with the firearm, holding the firearm, and they were giving commands for him to show his hands.
Thanks for clarifying. So yeah,
I'm sorry.
It went over the radio, and
Yes.
so everyone was aware.
Yes, officers were, so everybody was on the same channel and everybody heard shots fired when that occurred. And all of this is going on in a fairly quick time.
Did the suspect make specific threats to family members as he was firing in the home?
I don't know what he was actually saying to them, but obviously he alarmed his family. I mean, that would alarm any of us if someone was shooting a firearm inside of a home and we're already concerned about drug usage.
The first initial response was to a domestic disturbance. Was there anyone part of the team that was maybe part of the mental health task force, or does Arlington Police in domestic calls maintain any sort of mental health support personnel who accompany in typical domestic situations?
So that's a two-part answer. So we do have a behavior health unit, but then also all of our officers undergo mental health crisis training as well, or crisis intervention training. So yes, the officers responding had underwent mental health training through the PD. So they were very well capable in responding to him.
What sort of drugs are we talking about? Was it methamphetamine? What did they say when you initially got that call about the drug use that they were concerned about?
The call was more so concerned, I believe, that the family was attempting to get him some help, to place him in some type of rehab or to go to a meeting so that he could get some help. Something that we would all do for a family member. Didn't really indicate what type of drugs, but that he had done drugs in the past, he was exhibiting some behaviors, and they wanted to get him some help.
At this point, the police know whether or not that gun was involved in any other incident?
Any other incident unrelated to
Besides this one?
this one? No, not at the moment, but we do have NIBIN testing that could tell us if that particular gun was involved in an incident, but that would take, obviously, test firing the weapon, and that will be later on in the investigation.
It sounds like the family was attempting to do the right thing, get him help, it spiraled out of control. How do you kind of deal with situations where resources to handle it, and, you know, then police come and it just kind of escalates.
Well, in this situation, officers, the family called because they did need help, and officers responded. They did a good job engaging with him. They were willing to take him back home to his family. However, he took off running.
And to be clear, a behavioral health team member was not part of the initial response?
No, a behavioral health team member was not a part of the initial response. Officers who had received mental health training.
What kind of gun was it?
I do not know the actual make or model of the weapon. Obviously, our crime scene is on scene, and they'll be able to collect the weapon and determine all of the logistics to the weapon.
One more question?
I guess since we don't know the name, we can't do our own record search, at least right now, but you obviously know the name. Does he have a criminal history, other than, you know, maybe than drug offenses, any violent history here with City of Arlington or Tarrant County?
I will tell you, the original officers that encountered him did run him through the NCIC, TCIC database, which is a warrant check database, and he did not have any warrants, which is also why the original officers did not pursue him when he took off running.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.